Maria is standing at one of the myriad crossings in Piccadilly, unsure of the rhythm of the traffic. Without any road sense, she navigates by instinct, her routes often circular, before she chances upon the direct path. Suddenly, she feels strong arms encircling her in an iron grip. She checks her handbag, but that's safely clasped under her arm. People around her have stopped, but no one is helping her. The arm has a tattoo on it that scares her. The silent man holds her like a sentry. Her heart is thumping. Somehow she can't scream or breathe. These seconds are the longest of her life and empty. She hears a rumble, close like an earthquake, and a lorry sweeps past the spot where she's standing. The man has saved her life. The lorry had driven through a red light and a green man. His arms relaxed, and she can see the trace of his grip on her upper arms. She turns and stammers a thank you. He smiles, his face opening like a deep blue ocean, with sapphire eyes glinting kindly, inviting her to trust him. She's instantly curious. Does he drive a lorry? Is he a personal trainer or in the armed forces? She can see no other tattoos. Maria is visiting her mum, and as they talk, she thinks she begins to see the horror of her marriage, the everyday dismissiveness, the arrogance, the point scoring, the slow, relentless drip. Jack firmly insisting, I am better and I will prove it. It was a subtle and deadly manipulation laced with charm. Maria couldn't see what was happening at the time. Occasionally others could.
I never loved Jack, but he wooed me. Maybe if I had loved him, our relationship would have been different. He did everything to try and impress me, prostituting himself in the end, driving the wrong way along a one-way street, signing his credit cards Mickey Mouse. But it didn't work.
I couldn't work Jack out. I never understood why he was always trying to pay for me. He always wanted to foot the bill. It was as if he was constantly trying to recommend himself. All I really cared about was to be sure that Jack made you happy. It has become clear that he didn't.
Well, his need to impress was like a reflex, and I think it betrayed a deep insecurity, or maybe it was ego that needed large helpings of affirmations 6 times a day. I never should have married Jack because he wanted to control me. I like to think self-belief is different from selfishness, don't you think? I mean, you brought us up to be generous and selfless, and I'm very grateful to you for that.
I did my best with both of you. That's all any parent can ever do.
You're 200% a parent, Mum. I wish I was more like you. I'm maybe more discerning, but also more suspicious. Stronger than before, but unfortunately not nicer. I used to trust people with a childlike innocence that disarmed them.
Maria, you're just the same. Go out into the garden and think about all the good you can do in the world today. Banish the negatives if you can.
Maria nods. Outwardly she may look the same, but her ability to create opportunities and above all charm people, she feels has deserted her. She's lost confidence in forming and sustaining human relationships. Laugh and the world laughs with you, cry and you'll cry alone. She's turned away the handful of people who tried to help and comfort her, not out of pride, but because she's simply unable to explain the searing pain, shaking her slight frame to its core. If she opens the floodgates, she's terrified that she'll never manage to close them again. Her troubles, momentous as they are to her, pale into comparison with a friend's baby fighting cancer. So sometimes she does not even permit herself the right to cry.
If only I was more like Karen. And she has such a strong core of self-belief that she's generous and resilient. She doesn't need to belittle others. She loves herself and others. She's impressive and has nothing to prove.
You have to learn to be yourself, Maria. Your best self, not Karen nor I. And you will. You're right, it's self-doubt that's holding you back. You just need to believe in yourself.
I'm worried all this therapy is making me selfish. It's too much introspection. I think it's having children that makes people really selfless. And you bring into the world this parcel of life so defenceless that it's completely dependent on you, and then you watch them grow up into a child with a character of their own and unique and unpredictable.
It's not a bed of roses. Children surprise you constantly, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
My head tells me because I don't have children, I have the opportunity to start again. I want to meet someone who I can respect and trust, someone who'll empower and not restrain. Am I just a hopeless idealist? I mean, Karen's managed. I don't want to settle. But I still can't imagine my life with someone else. Jack is all I've known for so many years.
Yes, Karen has managed, but so will you. And it begins by making new friends.
It's Christmas, and Maria overhears a conversation between her mother and her sister.
I'm really worried about Maria.
Well, she just needs more counselling.
I just worry about whether she's ever going to trust anyone again after Jack.
She used to be the lucky one. What did he do to her?
I don't know, and I don't want to think about it. I never thought that I'd have to hold my beautiful, successful daughter weeping in my arms, aged 25. Jack's manipulation and control have broken Maria, and I bet we didn't see the half of it. He kept her busy, it was a social whirl, and she put on weight. I thought he was looking after her.
Libby comforts Maria and herself, feeling the power of giving, but wishing that her daughters were more self-sufficient. Is it her fault for indulging them, or was it her fault for marrying their father? Libby puts her guilt in a box and locks it up. Maria is riddled by guilt. Blaming herself has become a habit.
I can't understand why Maria gets upset for so long. She broods and it does her no good. I don't. I get upset and then it passes.
We can't all have your sunny disposition. Maria is a deep girl. She's thoughtful, pensive. You're right. Your storms are tropical. They're acute, but they pass. They pass very quickly, and your optimism returns. At least neither of you keep count of wrongs or bear grudges. I may have done something right.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad because you're both great.
At least she left him.
Yes, thank goodness.
I just wish she was the way that she was before.
So do I.
I'm determined that she'll make a good match. Quite right, Mother. I know. I'll sign her up for online dating. What do you think about uniform dating?
Oh, I'd be very careful about that. You know how private she is.
I just want her to be the way that she was before.
Maria creeps silently back to bed with tears in her eyes. She would have committed suicide without her family, but now she needs a room of her own, a place to rebuild her psyche, her identity, and to remember who she is. She needs to be able to cry alone in dignity. It gives her the strength to keep smiling when she ventures out. She doesn't see the courage in her present battle with depression. She, among many, is determined not to bother others. It's rarely discussed, however common. Mental illness scares people. Whatever she does, self-blame holds Maria back. The black cloud above her always finds fault. Libby thought the divorce had damaged Maria, and then there was Jack. Karen was away at boarding school. Libby and Karen watch Maria fighting to banish the inner demons, to see the sun, to remain optimistic, to give thanks for what she has, above all for family, who are her rock. Maria is thankful that she has a home, a job, and not least that she lives in a peaceful democracy. She moved to Sussex to be near the sea and the downs, but above all to be near her mum. She feels less alone. Libby escapes into her garden and wills Maria to get well. When asked, "How are you?" Maria simply says,
Yes, I'm here. I feel plain and very, very small, very ordinary. I remember lyrics by Jane Gilbert, the Scottish singer-songwriter. He has taken away the sun. I remember the early Technicolor days with Jack, Now my world is washed in grey like a February sky, but I'm not sure if I'm looking back through rose-tinted spectacles. I remember feeling happy in the present, alive in many moments, not straining to the future or chained to the past. But then it wasn't perfect because I couldn't challenge him. He wouldn't have it. I succumbed to Jack's conviction that he was right. Uncertainty, which Jack dismissed as insecurity, receded in the face of a packed social calendar. Why do I miss him so much?
Why don't you take a look and see whether you can find a local creative writing group or a singing group where you could meet new people? Aren't they called meetups? You're so solitary here in Brighton. You're a long way away from Karen. And you can't spend all your time with me.
I know, Mum. I wish Karen was closer too, but her work means she has to be in London. I've tried to meet people, but it's not easy when I'm feeling so low, and it's not easy getting to know people in groups, especially if I don't always make it. I miss my old friends, but they're all scattered across the country now, so I can't even see them when I'm with Karen in London.
A choir or a creative writing group's a good idea. You sing really well. You've got a lovely voice.
Maybe. I've been reading The Dignity of Difference by Jonathan Sacks. He says, you cannot be chained by the past, but you can decide not to be held captive by it.
Maria wants to live a life of love. She often feels trapped by negative thoughts in free fall, but she wants to celebrate life. She loves nature, birdsong, sunshine, the kindness of strangers. In Sussex there's purity and food for the soul, but as Maria discovers, too much time alone is dangerous. During her A-levels she had few friends at school, but she was often surprised by irrepressible joy, and she longs to feel that again. Maria thinks she's alone, but then she glimpses a distant figure walking towards her. Sometimes she feels as if she inhabits a private beach, but not today, and she feels suddenly a little vulnerable. She shudders and her heart begins to thump. As the figure approaches, she catches sight of a tattoo and panics. It's the man from London who saved her from the lorry. He smiles a greeting, his face open and eyes sparkling.
It's a fine morning.
Beautiful.
Sorry, have we met before? You remind me of somebody I met in London who'd stepped between me and a lorry. He saved my life. I didn't even see it. Just the green man telling me it was safe to cross.
Perhaps, yes. Yes, you're right. I moved down here now. Who would believe it? A guide would be so welcome. Why don't you join me?
Yeah, of course. I walk this beach every day. See the curve up on the horizon there? That's Brighton with the pier. Where do you live? Further along the coast?
Yeah, further along towards East Saltdean, actually. Yeah, I come here for the quietness, the peace. It encompasses me like a warm fire. The pretty woman helps too, of course.
What made you leave London? Maybe you were just passing through like me, but I took you for a Londoner.
Yeah, London born and bred. I used to be a policeman, just retired early. My best mate was knifed by someone he knew. There was a vendetta, but the police were tipped off about it, but took no action. The day he died, I was on duty, but we got there too late. We grew up together. I was his best man. We used to drink beer, loads of beer every week. I can't even count how much. I'd get so lonely in London without him. I saw this opportunity to set up a security business down here, so I thought I'd take a chance. You know, You sometimes feel lonelier in a crowd than when you're on your own. When I saw you at those traffic lights, I didn't hesitate. I had to do something. I'm sorry if I made you jump or made you scared. It's just I feel like I got blood on my hands.
What was your friend's name?
Alex. His wife had just had a baby, and she never grew up to see her dad. I'm sorry, I've said too much.
No, don't apologise. You're absolutely right. He'd want you to carry on living life to the full, almost as tribute to him now.
Yes. What about you? What brings you to Sussex?
Well, I have dark days too. It was a need for solitude that brought me here, a room of my own. I've just come out of a difficult relationship. Nothing unusual, but it still bothers me. Worthlessness and guilt, confusion about right and wrong. I guess none of us gets everything right. If I had loved my ex, maybe things would have been different, but now I just feel very ordinary, I guess.
You must have good reason not to love him. You seem like you know your mind and have a good heart and see the good in people. Well, thanks for listening.
My pleasure. Feels like the first real conversation I've had since I got here. I sometimes wish I had a horse. Banish the lorries, but I'd love to gallop across the downs on a horse. Better a horse than a bike. More of a challenge. But I have to make do with my feet, I guess. Good enough for Roger Bannister.
Yeah, you've got elegant feet, and I imagine they've served you well over the years.
Thanks. Well, I live just near here, so I guess I'll have to go. But it was nice to see you again and get a chance to thank you and hear a bit of your story. A privilege. Good luck with the business, and I'll look out for you. I hope I see you along here again.
Me too. I must go as well. I'm sure we'll meet again. Have a lovely day.
It isn't yet clear whether Maria and John will meet again, become friends even. But whatever happens, Maria is indebted to John for demonstrating to her that life can have new meaning and new beginnings. She hopes she'll see him again, but she knows she may not. She tells herself she must make some new friends. She's battled the pain until it receded. She's found the strength to carry on. She learned she is not alone and that grief can be shared. Surprised by joy, she dares to hope for a bright future and is able to consider the past a foreign country and to leave it there. In her heart, she feels, for the first time, that there is a life beyond as well as behind.